Hi everyone, my name is Alex Casarco. I'm one of the new recruits composers for YoungeMedia. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before I get into kind of what I'm going to do with this project. I'm 22 years old, I grew up in Fairfield, Ohio. I currently attend Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, not the one in Florida, one in Ohio. I'm a fifth-year senior studying music performance as a major in percussion. I'm also getting a minor in music composition, which is something that I hope to continue on some form of graduate level, post-bachelor's degree. A little bit about the Kickstarter project. Really excited about it. This is one of the first projects I get to work on for YoungeMedia, and I really think it's going to turn out well. Got to read a little bit of the book, Born Bad. Gotta say I love it. It's really good stuff. I like what the topics, So I guess what I'm going to do now is I'll kind of take you through my setup, what kind of equipment, programs I use to write the music that you are going to hear. I'll take you through a little bit some of my thought processes from a composer's standpoint. Give you a little insight as to what I think about. Maybe then you can connect on it, with a new level. So I'll take you through, why I chose certain instruments, melodies, rhythms, mood, all the stuff that makes up a good, piece of music. So I guess I'll just dive right in. Really excited to show you guys what I think about. All right, so you are looking at the setup that I use to write music. I've got my MIDI keyboard that I can connect to my laptop. I use this program that I have up here on my monitor. It's called Logic Pro, and what that allows me to do is I can hook up this, and whichever sounds that is in the sound bank in Logic Pro, I can make this sound like. So just to give you a little demonstration, I have a little piano delay sort of figure that I've got going on here. So I'll just show you a little bit about that. So pretty much I can just use this for really any sound that I like, which is really helpful when coming up with music because you have whole, thousands of sound samples to choose from, which really kind of help expand your horizons away from just what sounds good on piano or what sounds good with like a string orchestra. You can kind of branch out and get some affected instruments that make slightly different sound, but kind of lend itself to a lot more genres of music. Okay, so what I'll go into now is kind of getting into the book itself and kind of just explaining kind of how I came up with some of the melodies I did. So for this portion of the book that I'm doing, it's a very short segment, probably a minute and a half of music. In this segment, I feel like Violet is caged in. She's staying with Ruth, who is trying to put all these rules and restrictions to kind of get her life on the right path because she's pregnant with a child. So the kind of, mood that I came up with is sort of like a hazy, kind of just like she's getting caught up in all of this stuff with, drugs and, dealing drugs, transporting drugs and all this stuff. So I kind of came up with a lot of like very ethereal, sort of delayed, distorted instruments. For example, one of the main melody instruments that I'm using is a distorted guitar that sort of has a delay on it. So I'll just let you listen to just a little bit just so you can kind of get an idea of what the instruments I'm talking about. So in that way, when I add it in with a bunch of the other instruments, it sort of gives us kind of like, just like, in my mind, a druggy, kind of rugged, kind of caught up in all of the action. And then later in the scene, she gets to having some labor pains. The baby's coming. She's in her third trimester. She's not doing well because she's doing a bunch of bad things and unhealthy things for her body. So in my mind, that's kind of where it picks up momentum within the music. So I'll let you listen to a little bit of it where it's in the hazy, and then you'll be able to notice when the labor pains are starting. So I feel like at this point in the music, it's very much more urgent sounding, like there's something happening that is not the same as what was happening before. So I added in a bunch of new instruments. You might have heard there's more drums. There's kind of like a distorted bass figure. So just anything to kind of, you know, snap you out of the phase of that she's just doing all of these things and all of a sudden the baby is coming. Oh my gosh, the baby is coming and it hurts so much. So I added in a bunch of rough instruments to kind of just, you know, illustrate the fact that this is happening and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Over the next few weeks, Violet would try her hardest to obey the rules and guidelines that Ruth insisted upon. In Violet's mind, the rules were brutally clear. Don't do anything that you may consider fun, thought Violet. This would mean no drinking wine, no smoking cigarettes or reefer, and no loud R&B music was to be played on Ruth's expensive sound system, in which she played only gospel songs. On days that Violet felt especially trapped, she would rationalize that at least Ruth wasn't dragging her off to church with her, which she attended at least 3 times a week. Ruth always would say, "Child, I hope you can one day find your way home to Jesus before it's too late." The problem was that Violet had already become addicted to the street life as well as everything else that came with it. Although she did in fact have genuinely good intentions to take care of her unborn child, due to her young age coupled with the vice-like grip that the street scene had on her, the life that was inside of her stomach would never become a priority in young Violet's life. Within a month, Violet had already managed to meet the local scene of pimps, prostitutes, and hustlers. Through all of her dealings with Ozzy and Ruby, Violet had become a street-savvy individual in her own right. The timid and shy country girl did not dwell in sight of Violet any longer. She had linked up with a small crew of young women around the same age group as herself, who specialized in everything from shoplifting to running drugs on the Greyhound buses from New York to various other states on the southeast coast. In their leisure time, they would spend hours sitting around in someone's studio apartment, drinking wine and getting high off of whatever drug was available. It had reached the point where Violet had literally stopped staying with Ruth altogether. The combination of alcohol, drugs, and excitement had caused Violet to numb herself from thinking about where her life had taken her. Before she knew it, she was already in her beginning stages of her 3rd trimester of pregnancy. It was November 5th, 1969, when Violet felt her first sharp labor pain. She was on a street corner with a member of her all-girl crew when the pain rocketed from the top of her abdomen all the way down to her womb, causing her to fold over in pain. As her friend attempted to help escort her to the Mount Vernon Hospital about 4 blocks away, Violet shuddered and quaked violently as the overwhelming pain caused her to pass out. At that moment, Violet's friend panicked and quickly ran away, yelling back to Violet's limp body that she would get help. Violet lay still, helpless and alone on the cool concrete, but something inside of her stirred violently. A spirit that Violet had no control over. A spirit that, through all of Violet's substance abuse, would not be denied.
So that's kind of the thought process, my setup, a little bit about me to do with this project. Really excited for the Kickstarter, as I said earlier. Can't wait for it to launch. I think it'll be a really good thing. Thank you all for watching, and I really hope that you enjoy this book, because I know that I do. Thank you.